Sagittarius. Welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol. And Sagittarius, this is going to be a general reading for mid-month October 2024. And in today's reading, we're going to be doing the mid-month check-in. So in particular, I'm going to start off by looking for a pattern in your life that's showing up for healing right now. Now, patterns are really important to really bring awareness to, because the first step in breaking these patterns and to getting at them and beginning to heal them is to realize that this is going on. Like, this has been going on, you know, I've been here before. And so this will be a pattern that you're aware of, but sometimes it just takes someone to say, well, maybe you need to look at this. And then in the second part of the reading, we're going to be doing some shadow work. So we're going to be looking at what aspect of your shadow is coming up for healing, because that is what's going to drive and impact this pattern to keep showing up. The universe has an amazing way of, these patterns just keep repeating themselves over and over until we heal them, and they'll just keep coming back. And so if you're unfamiliar with the term shadow work or shadow, I've left a really good video for you in my description box below called My Powerful 4-Step Guide for Shadow Work. And it's all about healing, facing your own shadow. It's a video that's taken from my other channel called Carol Cares, where I have a lot of other help for you on your healing journey. And then in the third part, what we're going to do is we're going to look for some advice from the tarot as how you can begin to break out of this pattern, heal this pattern, because this is a process. It's a healing journey. So it's a process, and we don't do this, all at once. I'm not going to provide you here, the tarot won't, with some miracle drug here, but it's a process. It's something that I'm going to give you just to kind of get you going on the right path. And then I'll recommend some videos for you from my other channel as well that are more specific to what you need to heal here. And if there's room, I will also attach my October 2024 reading if you haven't had a chance to see it. All right, so we're going to begin with pulling 3 cards from a new deck that I've acquired. So you're going to watch me flub my way through it a bit. It's called Curious Tarot. Just getting used to some of the pictures. Curious Travels. And then I will be clarifying that with the Tarot Vintage. I've used that one before. All right, so let's begin by asking the tarot for what pattern is showing up in Sagittarius's life right now for healing that they need to become aware of. And so I guess I do want to say one thing, that I am offering personal readings. So there's my first card. If you are looking for a personal reading, there's a lot of information about the ones that I'm offering. I just added a new one actually to it. So if you look in the description box or my comment section, I will have the link to it where you can go to my website, and it'll take you right to the Yellow Cardinal Tarot page, and you can take a look at the readings that I'm offering for you. All right, so the pattern that showed up for you is the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Well, I was hoping that it wasn't going to come out so soon. What aspect from your shadow is actually driving this or impacting this? And so can I have one card here? It wants to give me 2. So we're going to go with the 2. You have this 6 of Cups. Beautiful cards. I love these cards. And the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords. Yeah. First thing I look at when I get a deck actually is to make sure I can shuffle them, because some of them I just have a hard time shuffling and they stick together. And this is pretty good, but they tend to fly out, so I have to be really careful. Hey, there they go. So there's the next one, the advice from the tarot before I get asked. It's going to be the High Priestess. So let's look for some clarifiers now. So, Tarot, can you tell, and these are all pre-shuffled before I came on as well. So, Tarot, can you tell me some more about this 10 of Pentacles card here that's showing up here for the pattern that needs healing for Sagittarius? Well, 15 cards showed up here, so I'll try that again. Let's get some more. 2 to 3 cards for clarifiers, please. So you have the World card. You have the Magician in reverse. And you have the Ace of Cups on offer here. How about this, this Six of Cups and the Queen of Swords? A couple clarifiers here. Almost. That one wants to come out. Okay, King of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles in reverse. And the Knight of Swords in reverse. Sitting in your shadow. The High Priestess. 2 to 3 cards. Tell me some more here. There's 2 here. Let's see if you want one more to come out. There we go. Got the 10 of Pentacles in reverse again. Interesting. You started out with it, and it's your first card, and you're ending with it. Page of Pentacles in reverse, and the King of Cups, and then the 10 of Pentacles at the end in reverse. Okay, so that card overturned. Not sure when and how and why. Let's begin. Let's look at what pattern is showing up for you. Like I said, the patterns are so important to look at because that's where a lot of your healing can take place when you realize, you know, this is really showing up for me. It's a sign that you need to look at this, and it's something that needs to be healed from your shadow. So, 10 of Pentacles in my deck. Here they are all lined up over the heads of this family of elephants. And so this is really a card that speaks about family, about generations. And because this is a healing deck, this tells me that the 10 of Pentacles always has to do for me what it means, generational trauma in my deck, because you know this card speaks about generations. So definitely here, but it's in reverse here. So I'm going to say there's something generational, some generational trauma that you're aware of that is coming up for healing again, but it's in reverse here. So there could be on your part a fear, which explains why maybe you're trying to, you know, we tend to not want to look at it. There's a real resistance here to dealing with it, to healing and wanting to really take a deep dive into, you know, what sort of trauma was handed down to me. And yeah, so let's look at, you know, maybe what's going on here and why there's this fear and what else is going on. So I think here you get the World card right after it. And the World card tells me that I think you're getting to a place where you're wanting some sort of closure with this. Like it's come up before and you're wondering, you know, what it is or how much there is, or, you know, some of us have delved already into it. I myself, when I first started healing intensively 7.5 years ago, I had no idea what was in my shadow, actually. And I just knew I wanted to heal, and that was it. I just knew there was something wrong. And I had no idea that I had complex trauma. So I had a lot buried, and I still do have a lot buried in my own shadow. So I think you're looking for some closure. You're wanting maybe to open this up, or to, you know, try to get into this and figure out, you know, how were you affected by this, or so. And then the Magician card comes in next, and the Magician card is number 1 in the Major Arcana, and it's really a card of, I mean, it's called the Master Manifester. He could manifest anything. But the thing is here, what you have to realize in an upright position, it's reversed right now. In an upright position here, we can literally manifest anything is what, I mean, people say, like there's, you know, if you put your mind to it, you can manifest things. But the thing is with manifesting, oftentimes people manifest, but they're not in a grounded way, because when this magician here brings things into his, you know, when he manifests anything, he has this this wand up in the air, and it acts as his lightning rod. So he's getting his power from this divine source, if you want. Like, you can call it God, source, creator, spirit, but there's something bigger than him that he's pulling in here. So he's acting as like a lightning rod, and he's acting like a channel when he brings this through him, and then he grounds it into the earth. So it's not his own power. And I think people think that they can manifest with their own mind and their own power, and sure they can, but things that will come in for them are not the right things because they're not grounded. And so I'm seeing here that, you know, there are some things that want to come in here. There's something that wants to be revealed to you, some generational trauma that you're trying to get at. And I'm thinking that, you know, you're sort of like in a position where it's okay, I bring this on. I'm ready, I think, to deal with it. But it's sort of in an ungrounded way here, like I said. And, you know, that sometimes you have to be careful about that, is that, you know, when you're ready to take on this stuff, or when you're ready to start to deal with this and heal it, it's very important that we are grounded into our own body rather than up in our heads. So, and then because, you know, it says that though there's some real heavy emotions here, there's going to be, and I think we all know that, and that's what the fear is of manifesting any of this, or bringing in the healing, right? There's a lot here on offer for you. Like, there's going to be a big emotions that are going to be coming in again when you're dealing with your own generational trauma that's coming in here. And so that's a situation, that the pattern that's kind of showing up for you again, where here's some generational trauma that's coming up, and you need to look at it. But there's a call here to get grounded because there's some emotions here coming up. So what's coming up from your shadow that's kind of bringing this up again? What's coming up for healing? And remember, this is your childhood. This is your adolescence. These are the things you put away, didn't want to deal with. Kind of the original source of this that's impacting and driving it. This is really what, you know, the kind of the meat and potatoes, if you want, of the healing that you got to get to. And so you have these two cards here that came out first. So I'm going to start off with the first one that's clarified by the Queen of Swords. But the Queen, the Six of Cups is this beautiful picture of these two children kind of exchanging a cup and playing with the cup. And so this is really a childhood card. It's really an inner child card here. So you have an inner child here that's come up here, and I believe there is another one right here that comes up that in your advice from the tarot. And my pages is another, or my inner child cards as well. And so we can have more than one inner child of ours. I know mainstream psychology likes to say we just have one, but I've been on this healing journey intensively, and I know that I have more than one inner child that needs healing. And so you start off with an inner child here that needs healing. And it has to do with the Queen here, the Queen of Swords. So the queens in my deck are feminine energy. And so there's a call here for feminine energy that's coming into play, which, you know, has a lot to do with our emotions. But this particular queen here that, you know, is sitting here, it's about your authenticity. And so I'm seeing here that, you know, you have this inner child that's sitting here in your shadow that needs healing, that knows who you are, that knows your truth, because the sword is all about our truth, right? And so oftentimes, I mean, I do parts therapy, which has really impacted my own tarot reading here, but I got a lot of my information, my memories and my emotions were held by my inner parts and my inner children. And so I'm seeing here that the inner child of yours that needs healing is the one that holds your truth here. And they're the ones that will, you know, hold those big emotions to who you were. And so there's some truth here that you're getting to, but it's going to be through an inner child that needs healing. And right behind it, right in the middle of your shadow here, comes a king. And we can't ignore the kings, because the kings are the one I've talked about the queen and about how she's the feminine aspect to herself, and she's also the one that represents, getting back into our body and feeling these emotions that need to come in here. And the king comes in right after, and the kings in my deck represent our ego self. It's our masculine side here. And so right in the middle of your deck here, right in the middle of your deck, of your shadow, is your ego self when you were younger, that kind of pushed it all down. Our ego self will come in, even now as an adult, will come in and tell you, don't go in your body, don't feel these emotions, don't deal with this, shut it all down. So you had your ego self when you were younger that kind of that shut these big emotions down, that shut. And when that happens, it's because this is your truth here. When we have these big emotions when we're younger, we can't deal with them when we're younger, and that's why we repress them. And this particular king, this pentacle one, didn't want you to stay in your body when you were younger as a child, to deal with some of this trauma that was happening to you and these big emotions. And so what happens is these inner children will hold on to them for us, and they come up for healing every once in a while, right? And this is what's happening with you, is that here's your inner child that's hold your truth in here, that wants to, talk to you a little bit. Our inner children need healing, and we do that by listening to them and communicating with them. And the biggest way that I do that is through my own journaling. I communicate to them, and I write from my emotions. Because when emotions are coming up, big emotions, those are the big emotions that are being held, that are held by these children that need to heal. And so your children here, this inner child of yours is telling you something, wanting you to feel these big emotions that they couldn't feel when they were younger. And that's how healing works, right? We're an adult now. So when these big emotions come up, we feel them for the inner children that couldn't feel them when they were younger. And the big emotion here that's coming up for your healing is the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles talks about these two individuals here that are walking by this church, and they need to go inwards. In this church, they need to get some warmth and, ask for some help here. But it's in reverse here. And so this is a card of really feeling unworthy, not feeling worthwhile, not feeling worthy enough to go into that church. And the shame is what actually is the emotion that's connected to our unworthiness here. And there's not one part of you when you were younger that could have dealt with this big emotion of shame that your ego self blocked for you. You see, they block it when we're younger, and then they continue to do that when we're older, because they think they're still back. They don't realize, our ego self doesn't realize that this is in the future now. Doesn't realize that we're adults now, and they sort of treat us like we're kids, right? Well, here's this big shame come up again. Oh, gotta block it, right? And really, they did it for our safety and our survival when we were younger. And so you have the shame here. But there's this card, that powerful Knight of Swords that's coming out in the end in your shadow. And knights in my deck represent what I call my freedom fighters. There's this part of you, this adolescent part of you, and we all want it. Like, let's be honest here. Who doesn't want to be free? I had a comment the other day on one of my videos that said, I just want to be free. And I know that feeling. I know that feeling. And that's all I wanted was freedom. You just want to be free from this generational trauma that's coming up again for you to heal. And this knight in your deck that's sitting at the bottom of all of this is the knight with the sword. You had the queen with the sword, the queen of authenticity, right? Of knowing who you are, getting back to your truth. Because it's hidden behind this shame that you've been carrying around. That shame, believing that that's who you've been all your life. This shitty stuff that people dumped on you when you're younger. Shame's not something we are born with. It's something that people give us. And so here's this knight wanting freedom. Wanting freedom to have authentic relationships. Here's the sword here of authenticity, of truth. Wanting to get back to their truth. Wanting you to get back to your own truth. And a lot of times when this shows up in my deck, and especially in your shadow, there's a lot, this freedom fighter right here, this part of you has been fighting your entire life to get to this, has been fighting for it. And because they've been fighting their entire life to be free, to be who they want to be, to free to have authentic relationships, free to be authentic, and because they've been fighting for that their whole life, they're feeling this incredible hopelessness. And that's where that shame comes in. That shame is, right behind that hopelessness. Maybe you're sitting in depression. There's some hopelessness there that we need to get to. And maybe you're sitting with some anger in there, right? Sometimes we can have some ungrounded anger that needs to come up and needs to be felt because you weren't allowed to be who you were when you were younger. Instead, people gave you this shame and said, you didn't matter, and when we were told in so many ways that we don't matter, well, we carry a lot of shame around. And so so where does the tarot want you to go now? What advice does the tarot have for you to start to heal some of the shame, to heal this inner child that needs some healing here? Well, you begin with the High Priestess card. Interesting card to begin with as advice. And the High Priestess, she's in the Major Arcana, the second card here, and she's the first half of the feminine energy in the Major Arcana of the tarot deck. And the first half, the High Priestess, talks about our inner guidance, talks about our inner knowing, getting back to what we know, our inner knowing. But here's the thing about our inner intuition and our inner guidance. In order for anyone to access, it's a beautiful feminine quality. We all have it, but we all need to get back in our body in order to access it. If we continue to live up in our head where the ego self wants us to live, right? If we continue to stay up here and not go inwards and feel this shame that we're supposed to feel, we're not going to get in touch with our inner guidance. And the universe wants you to get in touch with it, right? This High Priestess has this veil over her head, and a lot of us are really scared to lift that veil, to really believe that we actually have this. We actually have our own inner guidance. And that's something that I have been on my own healing journey that I've been accessing, and it's something that I literally have to keep practicing and practicing, and I know that I can't get to it unless I am grounded. And so there is a big part of my own healing journey is to just get grounded every day, and I do it a few times a day just to stay grounded into my own body. That's where my inner guidance is. It tells me what I'm supposed to do next, and maybe that's what it's wanting you to do, to get grounded and get in touch with that old inner guidance here for some more direction, because you have this inner child. Here's your inner child, another one, Page of Pentacles. Well, this is the one, this is the page, this is the inner child that was in their body. They knew how to ground. When we're a young child, 4, 5, 6 years old, we're grounded, and we have intuition when we're young. We have that inner knowing. And then what happens is people shut that down all around us and doubt us and make us think that we don't, make us think that we don't have this gut feeling, this inner guidance here. And so you have this inner child here that needs healing. It's blocked. And the King of Cups comes in here. And this is the King, which is interesting. You have the King in the middle of your advice, and you have a King in the middle of your tarot. And this is masculine energy. And then you have the Magician, which is also masculine energy. All three of these in the middle of your reading here, which is masculine energy, which is your ego self being up in your head. This particular King of Cups doesn't want you to get in touch with your emotions. It will tell you. So what's going to happen is here, I'm telling you that, you need to get back into your body, get in touch with your inner guidance, because that's how you're going to be able to heal and get in touch with the shame that this inner child is feeling. But then your ego self is going to come out here and it's going to tell you, no, get out of your body, get back up in your head, because you don't want to touch those emotions. Our ego self is a very, very scared part. And it wants to keep you in your head because it's safe up there. And there's not one of us, and that's why people don't feel. We're petrified of it because this is what's blocking it. A petrified part blocks our emotions and tells us, don't you dare go there. It's dangerous. Emotions are going to eat you alive. But the thing you have to remember here is you're an adult now, right? You can deal with this generational trauma card that comes up again, the Ten of Pentacles here that it ends with. It's in reverse. It's time for you to start to deal with this. You can deal with this, and you can deal with it by starting to get back in your body, ground yourself, and start to heal some of the shame, that people become aware of the shame, right? And that's going to get you in contact, with your inner child, and start to deal with those emotions. But I'm going to leave you with a grounding playlist. Very important to learn how to ground yourself. I'll take you outside my backyard. I'll teach you how to ground yourself, and then get in touch with that shame so you can start to feel that and grieve it. These inner children that you have, there's 2 of them here. In order to heal, they need to grieve. They have a lot of grieving. They have a lot to tell you about this generational trauma that's coming up for you this month, end of October. So Sagittarius, that's your reading for this month. I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk to you in November. Bye-bye.